Welcome back, and everyone else who's watching today. I'm going to be trying out the new Halara Nightmare DLC for Master Detective Archives in code. Let us do this. So let us go ahead and read the description, and hopefully my sound is fine. The Nocturnal Detective Agency receives a request to investigate an unusual drowning. Was it suicide or murder? Will Master Detective Halara be able to solve this odd and onerous case? Find out next time on the next episode of the DLC files. As in, right now, actually. New game. Let's see if I am online. Yeah. Alright, let's do this.
Halara, do you know where the milk I put in the fridge went? I was saving it for my coffee.
Beats me.
That's my secret.
They're into cats, so they probably gave it to a cat, most likely.
How much?
Huh?
How much do you want for it? I'll pay your asking price.
Wow, I guess she does buy stuff too. Or they, rather.
You gotta be kidding. Fine. Just keep sitting there.
I will.
Huh? Someone's coming. I wasn't expecting guests today.
Do this. This is new.
Right this way. It's a bit cramped in here.
Are you the chief of the Nocturnal Detective Agency? My name is Tetra. Pleased to meet you.
No portrait.
I'm the chief. That's just one of our detectives.
Oh, excuse me. Your detective was sitting at the biggest desk here, so...
How's my day today? I went to visit her friends and I ate food, and then I got really tired because it's like a 30-minute walk both ways. Well, rather, 30-minute walk one way and then another 30-minute walk back.
My
So,
seat gets stolen the
free food,
moment
so.
I leave it open.
That was a nice looking seat.
Let's sit down.
I was told you investigate murders.
A murder case. It's possible for us to handle it, but...
Yako does not specifically do murder cases. That's more Halara's deal with her entire power.
What we can or can't do depends on whether or not the peacekeepers have already gone through it.
I see. My father passed away in a rather bizarre manner. The peacekeepers declared it was an accidental death. But I just can't believe it was an accident.
The peacekeepers usually try to declare any unnatural deaths as accidents. Why do you suspect that it wasn't one?
My father kept tropical fish as a hobby. One morning, he was found dead, drowned with his head stuck in the fish tank. Do you really think that could be an accident?
He drowned with his head stuck in a fish tank? Can you describe the situation?
The fish tank is set rather low, so you can view it from above. My father was in a kneeling position, with his head dunked into the water.
That sure is bizarre. What did the peacekeepers have to say?
Don't tell me they said he accidentally put his head in the water and remained there until he drowned.
They say he was electrocuted, and passed out when he touched the temperature control switch with wet hands.
Okay, I guess that's more believable. Imagine drowning in a fish tank. That would be kind of lame as something to put on your obituary. But if you think about it, the ocean is just one giant fish tank, so I guess in that sense, a lot of people die from that.
and he fell into the water and drowned, unfortunately.
Are you sure the cause of death was drowning?
Yes, that appears to be the case without a doubt. A trustworthy doctor did the autopsy.
Raised eyebrow.
I see. From what you've said, you can't really deny that it could have been an accident.
No, the problem is the room where my father passed away. It was obvious that someone else had rummaged around.
What do you mean?
Okay, so reasonable belief that there was some malicious intent.
Well, the room has lots of tropical fish tanks lined up. But on the day my father died, all of them were shattered to pieces.
Oh, hey, this isn't a brand new room. I think. Yeah, I remember there was actually another fish tank area in the game. It was like one of the abandoned mansions, but I don't think that's something that this Lady Tetra would live in.
And of course there was water and dead fish all over the floor. Someone must have forced their way into
sink in the
room
ocean?
to do something so terrible.
I mean, same. I actually don't know how to swim.
I believe my father was murdered by whoever did that.
Oh yeah, good point, Joe. Before we move away from the scene, let's take a look. Because I remember in the, what's called, the Etheria Academy case, you could kind of instantly solve the past case that we never directly looked at just by looking at the one image they gave. And that is to say, it was Karen who used the brick to off some chick, and then they placed the brick back and all that. Let's see if we can get some hints from this. Yeah, there's a bucket. Why is there a bucket? I guess it's to replace water, but... Oh, God, I'm so out of tune with my detective sense right now. So there's water lined up all over on the east side, or the right side anyways. And there's a chair on the left side. Maybe they're trying to go up to the higher. Yeah, this is obviously not an accident. What the hell? they're like all broken. How could they say it's an accident? So it seems like maybe there was something hidden in the aquariums and they didn't know which one. So that's what the left chair suggests. They went up to examine the aquarium on the upper shelf. There seems to be something blue on the carpet. That's probably just the fish, yeah. I don't think we can get much more hints from this other than it doesn't look like they broke through the sliding doors over there. So they had a free entry, or they're able to lock it behind anyways. Yeah, I don't see any signs of tampering with the actual glass window. So that's all the hints we can get from this image, I believe, for now. Well, besides the corpse, which is... Looks like his leggings are a bit soaked, but I think that's just a shading issue, not really. He was actually soaked down there. This is obviously a murder, what the fuck? Where is even the electrical equipment that he could have gotten shocked by? I don't see it.
This must be a murder. Please uncover the truth of my father's death.
What do you think, Halara?
Beats me. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, Halara.
Don't lie. There's no way you couldn't hear us.
You can assume I don't exist, unless pay is involved.
I can pay. My father left me an inheritance.
Oh, don't mind my detective. Our rates are always reasonable here.
Except for Halara.
Then you'll investigate this case on my behalf?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. As detectives sworn to protect this town, we can't leave any mysteries unsolved.
He's kind of cute. I mean, maybe, but in kind of like a basic plain vanilla Jane kind of way.
Thank you. I'm so happy I worked up the courage to come here.
Oh, Halara, yeah.
The Nocturnal Detective Agency is here to protect the peace of Kanai Ward. You can always count on us. As for investigating this
Like, look at Tetra over here. She doesn't even deserve her own portrait.
Promise. Jeez.
That was rather reckless of you to promise.
It's not like I have a choice. I can't just abandon people in need.
Yako emanating a protagonist
I'm
here.
Yako Furio. Chief of the Nocturnal Detective Agency. I gotta protect this town.
And find everyone's lost pets.
Do you even have a single lead to solve this case?
What? Of course. I'm a detective after all.
The Listman. You remember that one scene? Yeah, it was a pretty good scene.
If I proceed with the investigation, I'm sure I can find some kind of clue.
How did Hallara get a lead already? I mean, it's not like she was able to see that image that we just saw. The only way to be able to get a lead at this point is to directly investigate what her father's business was and actually conduct an investigation of the crime scene too.
But I'll need your help, Hallara.
Hey, Yako is gonna help us.
Depends on the payment.
You know I don't have a lot of money.
And you know that I don't work for cheap.
Then, how about a deal instead?
Mind reading powers? No. Oh, you're just joking about that. I mean, I remember last time she did a lot of research beforehand, which for various cases. So outside of her own power, she does get a groundwork, whether it was for the research of the Nailman killings, the other locations of them, or what's it called? I feel like she got vamoosed after that case, so maybe there's no other case. Oh, actually, she did do the research for who was the detective list for who was going to come into Kanai Ward, and that's how they knew us beforehand.
What deal?
If you solve this case, I'll let you keep a cat here.
Ooh! Oh gosh, Yaku, you sly dog. Yo, Xeno, welcome. That's not playing fair.
Yes, really. Hey, where are you going?
To the crime scene.
Hold on. The client just left.
I guess Yako knew all about Hallara's secret interest that we only accidentally found as a Yuma.
Why don't you wait until tomorrow?
Cats can't wait.
Fine. I shall review the case's records until then.
What do you miss? We had a client come in, and essentially the Peacemakers ruled her father's murder to be an accidental death due to him getting accidentally electrocuting himself because he touched with some sort of electric equipment while having wet hands or something like that. And then he ended up falling and drowning inside his own fish tank. But from the graphic we saw accompanying his description of what was wrong with the scene, it was like every single aquarium was broken, so it was very obviously like not a murder or not an accidental death, because there's no way he could have accidentally broke out every aquarium, especially including the ones across the room. These literally got a kitten. Tiny meows. I still remember that one picture that she randomly had of a cat. There was no elaboration of it, but I did check out the Gumshoe Gambits on my own free time. They're pretty cute.
Halara's fee is cheaper than I thought.
Incidentally, though, the Gumshoe Gambits actually did reveal that Hallara is allergic to cats, so I don't know how this is going to work out. Also, kudos to Yako for finding a good deal. Raining cats and dogs. And dog? Singular dog? Halara's coin. 1 Xian coin. Glance carefully. Calculate for retrieval. Electrical power. No, I need to read the bonus.
Thank you for coming. You really are willing to investigate the case.
So this room is actually brand new. Unlike in the previous 2 cases with Dasuhiko as well as with Fubuki, which used existing areas in the main game, this area seems to be brand new, which is appropriate because Halara's entire power is dependent on there being an enclosed room for her to investigate using her post-cognition power. Willing to investigate, yeah.
Well, that's
This
our
BGM is
duty
pretty cool.
at the Nocturnal Detective Agency. Your house is pretty big. Your father must have been well off.
Yeah, you can see there's like aquariums broken everywhere. There's no way this was an accidental death.
Yes. My father owned a medical devices company. He contributed to Kanai Ward's medical advancements for years. I simply can't believe he met his end like this.
And that's where his legs were draped over while his body was leaning over that aquarium specifically.
We'll find justice for him.
Thank you. I am in your debt. This is my fiancé, Jaren. We've been living together for about a year now.
He's the criminal, Jaren.
Nice to meet you.
We need suspects, so it has to be him.
I'd like to ask you more about the details later, but can we take a look at the scene for now?
I blame you, Jaren.
Do you have a photo of your father?
Of course. Here's a picture from when he was still alive.
Thank you. Alara, over here.
Honestly, it has to be Jaren at this point. Not even speaking from a logical point of view, but from a narrative point of view. We need at least one more suspect for it to be not him, but it's either suicide or the daughter, which why would she go to an investigation agency if she was the culprit? Or Jaren, so it has to be Jaren at this point.
I'll leave the investigation to you. It's a bit too cramped for all of us to be wandering about. I'll keep speaking to them outside. Talk to me when you're done.
Okay, so he'll do people work.
Understood.
Nice. I'm liking this. We're cooperating with Yako again, like we did with Yasuko.
The cards I've been dealt.
You're saying daughter though. What if she wants to frame him? That's feasible, I guess. That'd be very vindictive to kill the father and then go to a detective agency just so that the guy can get convicted. All right. Ooh, we're doing it. This is the thing again. Classic Hallara style. Okay, I wanted to investigate the window because this is the only obvious point of entry other than the back door over there.
It's a regular sliding window with a crescent lock. There are no suspicious marks on it.
No suspicious mark, no tampering.
Wind outside. We're on the second floor, so any rain that falls off the eaves flows to the drain.
There's a drain down there. Crescent lock. Second floor rain flows off the eaves. What the hell is an eave? Into the drain. I don't see the drain. It's kind of hard to see. How do I open the menu again? Case files. This one. Clues. That's exactly what it says. There's nothing new. So this suggests if they were able to get in, there was no forcible entry, and it does seem unlikely that someone can come in from this side though because it is the second floor. But if they were able to come from there, then they should also have access to this crescent lock. What is a crescent lock again? It's like a one-way lock, right? There's no actual keyhole for it. Gosh, wrong. Crescent lock. Yeah, so it's a one-way thing. There's no actual, what's called keyhole provided with this kind of lock. It's just like you have to do it from one side. Which means this door was either already open or they just did not use this entirely. I'll let this door.
There is a sticky substance stuck to the door frame. Perhaps tape residue?
That's a lot of tape residue all over it if that's the case. Sticky substances, my favorite. Hallora's pose while walking around. Oh yeah, now that you mention it, look at that animation detail. Oh, they didn't have to go this hard. Okay, so we're not allowed to use post-cognition yet, so we're just doing our initial present investigation right now. I can't really think right now. I mean, there's probably just straight up not enough clues right now, so I shouldn't overthink of it. The second half of clues should be with the post-cognition ability. This chair here, I want to investigate if they were able to investigate and look inside, but... Yeah, let's see that they were trying to break inside every single aquarium to look for something. Right, let's see in the floor.
Right.
There are some stains on the floor. It is likely due to the water spilled from the fish tanks. Other than that, nothing else seems suspicious. Stains caused by water spilling from tanks are on the floor. Alright, what does this tell us? Well, the tanks are obviously filled. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. Is there any glass? Or that was probably cleaned up by the peacekeepers already. The water is still there though. That's weird. I mean, I guess there's no reason to mop this place up. Alright, let's investigate the more obvious things first. Broken fish tank.
All of the fish tanks have been shattered.
Clearly from the outside in. I mean, it's unlike from the other way, but just to confirm
There's
it.
broken glass scattered on the inside, which means it's certain someone smashed it inward.
Just like I said, even though it's obvious, it'd be absurd if it was the other way.
Why would someone do this?
It looks like they were searching for something. Alright, fish keeping equipment.
I see.
The equipment and food for the tropical fish are placed together. Seems like nothing has been used since the incident. There's some dust. The equipment used for keeping tropical fish is placed together. Okay, so this hasn't been used in the crime. Although it's weird that if dust was collecting, that suggests that these fish weren't being kept care of, but they seemed alive. Maybe we're overthinking it. I'm surprised there's nothing to investigate with regards to where the body was. Alright, just a couple more things. Oh wow, there is actually a long wall still here. Look at that, this entire... I noticed it here, but I thought it was just like a, you know, random background detail, but there does seem to be this tapering pattern going all the way around the entire room.
What is this? There is a stain here that looks like a horizontal line. Upon close inspection, there appears to be a faint outline of the same stain along all 4 walls.
Even on the door itself. Is that like the signs of water itself? Was this place flooded? But this place doesn't seem airtight with regards to the door. Well, I guess we don't know how the door works. Oh, wait. They did say it had tape residue. So maybe this door was covered in tape so it would be airtight. And this door was also sealed so that this place could be flooded. You pointed fast? I don't know what you mean by that. But I am trying to determine right now if it was a flooding. Like, why? Why and where would the flood even come from? Did it come from up here or something? I don't see a place for water to be falling in here, and the windows were clearly closed during that one graphic. So the water had to be coming from in here somewhere. Doesn't seem like there's any drainage coming, but there really does seem to just this place was flooded at some point. Which is strange though. Like, what would cause these aquariums to break? I don't think, even if it flooded, there would be enough water pressure to cause these things to break. And I don't think the carpet's entirely soaked. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Let's continue. Maybe the aquariums were broken to obfuscate, actually. They weren't here to search for something, but they are broken so that this place would seem wet all over, and so that it would obfuscate the fact that this place was flooded.
I see.
Let's review that water stain blue again. Well, this has dust, so that's a bit slightly inconsistent. Water spilling from tanks around the floor. Anything else seems suspicious? It is a stretch. I mean, but I don't know what else could cause this uniform pattern across the entire room. And it's consistent with this tape idea. But, the one inconsistent thing is this equipment here has had dust on it. Which suggests, this, scooter was placed in here after the fact. So, it wasn't here during the crime. It's not like they were placed, on this table afterwards, because there would be marks of that. And, you know, it would be undusted. So more likely this entire thing here was just not even here in the beginning. Well, a lot of speculation here. A lot of this could be wrong. I still don't have half my clues yet. To the vent.
An ordinary vent.
Ordinary vent. This could be one area the water could float from.
There's some blue paint on the inner side of the frame.
Blue paint. Perceptive.
Looks like something rubbed against it. This may have something to do with the case.
Rub marks and what looks like a blue paint are on the inside of the frame. I've investigated things of note, but... post-cognition time! Do the thing!
That's about all I can investigate for now.
I mean, to my eyes, it kind of looks like some sort of water mold, but I don't know.
I should go talk to our clients before I observe the crime scene at the time the body was discovered.
Okay, so collect the information you have
The
to
crime scene has been inspected, Chief.
Thanks.
There are a few things I'd like to confirm.
Yes, please ask me anything.
Can you give me the details of when you discovered the body?
It was, I think, around 6 in the morning. My father usually woke up early for breakfast, but when I went to get him, he wasn't in his room.
I just still don't know, even if it did flood, how it would have killed him, unless there really was an electrocution, just on a much larger scale. That's, I guess, the method of killing him more explicitly, without necessarily entering him, trapping him in here and electrocuting him. I mean, he could escape through the veranda, so I'm not entirely sure.
So I looked around and noticed Sugar barking at this room.
Sugar, huh? Is that the dog?
Sugar?
That's the name of our dog.
Dog, huh? Aww! Lucy's boy.
Hey!
Ah, that's so cute. It looks realistic too. Although the sound file could be better.
Is happy. She's rarely friendly with anyone.
She barks at me all the time.
For good reason. Criminal scum! You know it's you.
Shall we continue?
Oh, sorry.
It's obvious you're here just for the inheritance. That was the motive. She did mention in the beginning that she got an inheritance from her dad, so he's obviously after that.
Sugar was barking in front of the room, so I opened the door to take a look. There I saw my father. His head was in the fish tank. He was already gone.
I heard her scream and ran over. But what I saw took my breath away. The fish tanks were all destroyed. The floor was covered with water. All the tropical fish Father loved were scattered across the floor, dead. Were they valuable?
I'm not sure. I don't know how much they were worth, but the fact is, my father cared for them a great deal.
If the fish were expensive, do you think someone tried to steal them?
They were dead on the floor, weren't they?
Are you implying my father's murder was an afterthought?
Well, I'm just considering possibilities. If they were going to steal the fish, I doubt they'd smash the tanks. You're right.
Jaren helping the investigation. Okay, that's one less point off you.
Estimated time of death for the victim?
Who would steal fish? If they are tropical and exotic and you knew the right market, it could sell for quite a bit, but I mean, in these kind of small aquariums, I doubt it wouldn't even sell for that much worth breaking and entering. And murder.
I believe it was around 10 o'clock the night before.
When was the last time you saw him alive?
Right around 7 that night. I ate dinner with him. He went to his room after that.
What is the log button again? 10, so there's a 3-hour difference.
Does anyone else live here?
It's just me and him now. The servant left after making dinner before 7.
It was the servant!
Tell me, what were you doing around 10 that night?
After finishing dinner with my father, I did some cleaning and washed the dishes. Jaren came to the dining hall around 8 for dinner.
How do they estimate the time of death? I guess they just got that report from the peacekeepers directly.
And then we watched TV in the living room until around midnight.
Yes. I know for certain we were together between 8 and midnight.
Well... If Jaren was the one who did this, I mean, he has an alibi for after the fact, but it could also be used as a way for him to buy time so that the room can empty out from the water.
Did you ever get up during that time?
Speaking of which, see the hint about the veranda again. Rain flows off the eaves into the drain. See, I can't see a drain in this side, so I feel like they are talking about the other side. There's a drain. And if there's a drain on the other side, that strongly suggests there was in fact a flooding that happened in that room to fit with this entire puzzle. No suspicious traces. Normal windows, crescent lock. Yeah, so no one broke in.
Such as to go to the bathroom.
It was a remote murder, most likely.
I don't think so.
Were there any screams or sounds of a struggle around 10 at night?
No, not at all.
I see. That leaves me wondering.
No struggles.
Who entered that room? When they did? Why they smashed all the fish tanks? The fish tanks are large and have thick glass. You'd think you'd hear them being smashed.
True. All I know for certain is that we didn't hear anything like that.
What's up with that? When was the things broken? If the thing flooded, there's no way that the flooding would have caused the aquariums to break. I really don't think this place is watertight enough to cause something like that. The walls or glass is more like prone to break at that point. Was it like broken during the Peacekeeper investigation? I don't even know. That sounds like a bit too out there. He was taken out quickly then. Maybe he was killed and the body was moved to this room. I think the autopsy from the Peacekeepers is something we can trust in terms of the method of death was drowning or something. But I suppose he could have been drowned in a different room. But then what would be the point of this entire flooding? So I feel like there's some mystery going on with when the glass breaking happened.
Do you often come in and out of this room?
Not at all. Only my father used this room.
What did the Peacekeepers have to say when they saw the state of things in the room?
They said my father was stressed out. That he lost control and smashed all the tanks himself.
Okay, so that's what they're saying? Okay.
Was he actually stressed out?
Truth be told, my father was lamenting over a prized tropical fish he had accidentally killed that morning. I thought he could have done something extreme, given how much he regretted his mistake.
That's
He
not much.
did look rather depressed.
Oh, Vivid, welcome.
My mild-mannered father would never do something like this.
Did you notice anything strange about your father during dinner?
He was sad about the fish, but he ate normally. I didn't notice anything in particular.
It's hard to think he was so distraught that he'd smash all the tanks on his own.
You're right. But that's what the Peacekeepers told us happened.
Were there
I'll take another
traces
look
on
around.
his fists or something?
For now, I'd like to ask you to leave the room.
So you're gonna do that thing, yeah?
Is that
I'm
thing?
counting on you. Let's
Yeah, this is turning out to be a lot of a more interesting investigation than the previous two. But it certainly helps that we're properly investigating and looking around unlike the other two.
The trump card is still face down. Time to use my post-cognition to see how things were at the time the body was first discovered.
If the body was first discovered by the Peacekeepers or them, this will be important because it will tell us the state of what the tanks were in. If the tanks were actually broken during the murder or not, which I suspect they actually were not because no one heard any glass breaking. I also suspect that that cart over there was not there because it's covered in dust and it is related to, or we're going by this flooding theory. And lastly, I don't know what to expect for that fan up there, but maybe we'll see something attached that the Peacekeepers then removed. Alright, let's do this. The chair too. I mean, we weren't able to investigate the chair, but yeah. Persona! Okay. Let's see. I wish I could flip back. Yeah, I can't flip back to non-version. So it looks like this lamp was tipped over and it was set back into position. This door is open. All right, so the physical form is what we see in the past right now, and the ghost form is the actual present. So right now, this was tipped over. It was righted just for the investigation, I'm sure. It looks like the broken tanks were indeed broken during that time, so it wasn't some suspicious play by the peacekeepers. It doesn't seem like the peacekeepers really obfuscate the truth as much as they're just too lazy and want quick resolutions for the most. It's only when it's directly against their agenda they try to make something lie up. So this is the corpse. We didn't get a chance to investigate before. We'll do it later. There's still nothing peculiar about the vent that I can see, but Halar may disagree. It seems that maybe the turbines have been moved a bit since then. The wall stains are still there, of course. And let's see. Window to the wall. Silhouette, fish keeping equipment. Oh, there it is. You see? Well, the cart itself was not moved, but it seems all the equipment on was placed after the fact. So this is the first thing I want to investigate. Let's see. Was it moved from somewhere else? Can't tell. They were just straight up not here.
I see.
And at the time the body was discovered, at the time the body was found, many things were scattered around. Could this sort of mess be caused by just a broken fish tank? Equipment used for keeping tropical fish was scattered around. This chair is unmoved the entire time. Floor. So this floor was wet, and there were fish all over. Like, I guess the fish was removed. It's probably a lot more wet, is the idea.
There are dead tropical fish everywhere. The whole floor is completely drenched.
Yeah, this is too much water for just the tanks, I believe. Post-cognition showed the floor was flooded and scattered with tropical fish. Can we investigate the dorsal? Let's see. Even in post-cognition, traces of a sticky substance are on the frame. What kind of tape stuck on? Oh yeah, so this tape was some waterproof tape. That's too much evidence to suggest otherwise. Although I will say that the taping does not fully look consistent with hugging the sides, but for the most it seems to be around the sides. Okay, the window. Anything different about this? Oh, it looks like the lock was switched open in this case. Or locked? I can't tell.
It's not locked.
Not locked.
Anyone could come and go through here. Perhaps this is how the culprit entered the place.
A normal window with a crescent lock. Post-cognition shows it was unlocked, but locked after the fact.
There's a dead tropical fish in the drain on the veranda.
Well, this is somewhat strong evidence that they came from a drain on the outside and then went on, or rather, the drain on the inside and went to the outside to that exit portal.
Why would that be there?
If you look carefully, it looks like... am I imagining things? I feel like there's a gap there, but maybe there isn't. I might need to throw my entire theory out, because I thought there was a drain on the inside, but they're saying there's actually a drain on the outside. Yeah, okay. Let's continue. Wall stains. It seems the stains on the wall were present when the body was found. I don't see any particular differences. No, the stains are darker than they are currently. Does that mean they were made around this time? Even when seen through post-cognition, overall set stains resembling horizontal lines. So I don't know what's up with this vent, but we do know it seems to have moved since.
The paint stuck on the frame can be seen here.
Even seen through post-cognition, rub marks and what looked like blue paint were on the inside of the frame. Okay. So there's a drain there. I really don't know how this drain is working. The veranda. Rain flows off the eaves into the drain. So that's just the outside. There's no drain on the inside, I guess. Okay. I'll check the broken fish tank.
I see.
All tanks seem to have been smashed inward. There's not much difference from the room in its present state. Yeah. Alright, so it wasn't broken after the fact. Which is leaving the mystery of why no one heard the glass breaking during his murder. Well, I guess some amount of time could have happened before then. Someone's lying. The one piece of evidence we haven't investigated yet.
The victim's body is kneeling against the edge of a fish tank, with his head inside.
See, this is what I don't get. This is an unlikely position if there was a flooding inside the room.
Like the other tanks, this one is smashed up too. Looking closely, he is soaking wet.
Yeah.
It'd make sense if it was just his upper body.
Ah, so it was
Whole body to
his
be
entire
soaked
body.
is unusual.
I noticed his legs were soaked, but it was an awkward position, and I thought it was just the shading.
I'm beginning to see the truth behind this case. That's all the investigating I need to do for now.
Can we really solve the case already? I just still don't get it. Usually I can figure out the trace of this case already. No! Let me solve it before someone else does, before the game holds my hand and tells me I'm a dumb for not realizing it beforehand. And before Hollow was like, you didn't know already? I can't believe this, Yuma. I thought you were a detective. Figure it out with your own hands, with your own facts and logics. I am! Let me figure it out. Okay, so... Let's see. There has to be flooding, right? There's nothing else this waltz thing could be. But what is the significance of this flooding? It's confirmed just by his body being soaked. And it seems this area was unlocked during this period. I don't know what that suggests, though. When it was discovered, they must have escaped on the outside. And then the water was able to leave at that point. Okay, so during the murder, this place was flooded. And when he made an escape, the water flooded down the drain there. And that's how the fish actually got there, that one fish. He opened it, the fish went out. And he closed the window behind him, but one of the fish managed to slip in with him. Okay, we're constructing a narrative here. This sounds pretty plausible. So the culprit was here with him during the time of the murder. That's a fact. It wasn't a remote murder. There's no sign of or no sound of a struggle, although someone could be lying. So at this point, this door was sealed. I don't know how he managed to seal him with this guy still inside, but I don't see any... We just have to take it for truth that the murder was in fact through drowning. I still don't understand the significance of this fish equipment, but it was added here after the fact, so it must have been done by the culprit or something. Let's see the clues for the fish equipment. Gone to his room after. A little dust and nothing seems to have been used since the incident. Post-condition shows the equipment was scattered around and is placed back after fact. This contradicts the testimonies of Jaren and Tesha. Was there an argument or is there a different cause? He's thought to have gone to his room afterward. Actually, I don't even remember them mentioning there's a testimony difference here. He's thought to have gone to his room afterward. So there's a 1 hour time frame for Jaren to kill him between 7 and 8. With that said, it's likely that he was soaked too, so he must have been able to dry off very quickly. I suppose the broken fish tank would not have been heard if they were broken underwater. So, but I don't think it was able to flood completely. Like the bottom ones, sure, but the upper ones were also broken, and they would not be submerged in water. I don't understand the time frame for when they could have been broken, but maybe they're both lying, honestly. As for the fish equipment here, What is the significance of this? They weren't added after the fact, but I don't see where they are here. Oh, actually they are there. Yeah, they're on the floor and then they were moved up here. Alright, so they weren't brought from the outside of the room. What is the significance of these being brought back up is the real question. They had dust on them is the issue, but if they're in this position, it would suggest they would be washed away from that dust. I don't know. Can't think of anything beyond this point. Okay, fine. Time to be a dum-dum, we'll continue the story.
Are you done?
Oh my god, Sugar!
The dog has something in her mouth.
Oh, good, more evidence.
Hey, Sugar!
It's the blue thing that's related to the vent.
What's this?
That's Sugar's favorite toy. It's just a rubber hose tied up in a knot.
Is this how the water ended up going there? I feel like someone said they were taking a bath at some point. Where's the testimonies for where everyone was? Alibi. Servant made dinner and left. Tetra ate dinner, victim went to clean his room, Tetra cleaned and put away dishes. Watched dinner. And heard no screams or sounds of a struggle. No one went to the bathroom. Okay. It's maybe possible that the room was flooded through that tube from the vent, but it's such a tiny hose. Can it really flood the entire area? And at the very least, it's the beginnings of an explanation for how the flooding happened. The last time the victim was seen was at 7-2. It could have been the servant, but since his alibi is completely shot here.
Ever since she was a puppy, Sugar has loved playing tug-of-war with a rubber hose. So I still make toys out of hoses like this. But I don't think I made one for her recently. Where did she get it from?
Wow, that's interesting. Let me take a look.
A cute dog, oh my god.
Wait, don't touch it.
What's wrong?
Put that in a plastic bag without touching it directly. I believe it's evidence.
Yeah.
That's evidence?
Consider it a precaution.
Sugar's favorite toy. A short rubber hose tied into a knot. Do they do fingerprint work here?
How's the investigation going? Are the peacekeepers right? Did my father pass away due to an accident? Or was it...
The answer is clear. This was no accident, but a murder.
Yeah, an accident doesn't cause a hose to go down the vent and an entire room to flood.
What makes you think it's a murder?
There seems to be some sort of obfuscation of the truth too, with them closing the door behind them to prevent flooding, and them making an escape.
My thinking.
Must be a murder because of the window, most likely, right? The walls suggest a method, but the windows is what it suggests an escape. It was opened, right? It must have been opened at some point.
No, it's not enough to disprove the theory that it was an accident. Reviewing...
Oh no, Lara's shaming me for getting the wrong answer. It must be a murder because... No, not the fish tank. The walls shows there was a flooding, but... I feel like it's the window, right? That was the escape method. That suggests that someone else was there. They opened it and they left. But I don't like the follow-up answers to that. The floors were wet. That doesn't suggest anything, though. Nice tattoo. Yako. The fish tanks don't really give any hints. I guess the walls could be a sign of foul play. What are these options? They made it as, like, generalizable as possible. The walls were wet.
No, it's not enough to disprove...
Okay, fine. Fish tanks. Okay, so the 4 options is wet, dry, shattered, and open. The window must have been open. Wet, dry, shattered, and open. Wet, dry, shattered, open, wet, dry. It has to be the window, right? They escaped through here. The window is wet?
No, it's not.
Okay, Alara. What is your line of reasoning exactly? The fish tanks were shattered, yeah, but is that really enough to disprove it? I mean, it is inconsistent with the testimony that no one heard it, but there was evidence here that are shattered.
The victim died with his head in the fish tank. Is that right?
Yes, that is certain.
As you can see, this fish tank was destroyed like all the others. That is far too strange. It means something logically impossible occurred.
Oh my god, right. Supposedly he broke all the other fish tanks, and then he accidentally shocked himself and drowned in this one. But he can't drown himself if this is broken. Duh. Oh my god, I'm so dumb.
Impossible? What do you mean?
I shouldn't have to explain it.
Thank you, Alara, for explaining that far, though, at least.
If the victim drowned with his head in the tank, then it had to be filled with water. But as you can see, the fish tank is destroyed, meaning it is unable to contain water. Like with the other tanks, the water spilled out when it was smashed, emptying it.
I should have figured that out from the beginning. Oh my god, I'm so dumb.
So how could the victim drown in a fish tank that held no water?
Oh, now that you mention it.
The peacekeepers claim the victim was disoriented and smashed the fish tanks himself. But if the victim was still alive when he smashed the fish tanks, it would have been impossible for him to have drowned. In other words, the victim was drowned, then placed next to the fish tank to make it seem like an accident. The culprit must have believed this camouflage would be enough to fool the peacekeepers.
Well, it did.
So my father was murdered.
Yes, there is no mistake about it. This is murder.
Hold on. If the culprit wanted to make the victim look like he drowned, why did they destroy the fish tank? Didn't they realize their cover would be blown? And plus, all the fish tanks were destroyed, not just that one.
I originally believed it was because they were trying to find something, but it could be they're trying to make it look like that's what the water on the floor was for.
It must have been part of their plan for the peacekeepers to overlook this contradiction. However, destroying the tanks required a lot of effort. If the culprit did so despite the contradiction it created, then we have to assume there was an unavoidable reason behind it.
An unavoidable reason.
So, who is the culprit?
I must investigate further to find that.
Yeah, okay, good.
I'll report back once I find the answer.
I'd be like so mad if Lara's like, oh, it should be obvious by now, don't you already know? And I'm just like, I'm just glad to confirm that we don't know yet. It's not obvious and I'm not dumb. Or, you know,
Yes,
not yet
please.
dumb anyways.
Has anyone outside your family entered or left the house recently?
I don't think so.
Were there any tradesmen who came to work on your place?
I can't think of any.
Allow me to change the question. Have you recently done any remodeling or repairs to the home?
Oh, now that you mention it. The rain gutters on the roof were broken, so Jaren fixed them.
He fixed the rain gutters?
Yes, he's an avid DIYer.
Okay, so it seems the rain gutters must have been remodeled so that all the rain entered this room and caused it to flood. I don't know how it could flood that quickly, though.
He
Through
not
that
only
tiny
fixed
hose.
the broken parts, but also checked the gutters around the whole building, which was a lot of work.
The rain gutters on the roof were broken, so Jaren fixed them.
I see. That concludes my investigation.
What? Are you sure that's enough? Jeez, you're always off in your own world. I'm sorry about that. Our ace detective isn't very friendly. That being said, I believe this case will be solved soon. Please be patient for just a bit longer.
Thank you.
I wonder if there's a part 2 for real, or if we're already pointing the culprit. But the last bit of evidence is extremely suggestive of...
Alara, just as you suspected, it could be the fiancé.
It's suggestive of it, yeah, but... I don't know.
Jaren has been living in the client's home and mooching off her since he got fired from his job a year back. He's in quite a lot of debt, too. At one point, he was spending almost all his time in casinos. He kept asking
now that Yaku's saying it, I'm doubting it.
money, but was always denied. Seems the father was also against their marriage.
So money is the motive. If the father were to die, the daughter would inherit everything. So if he married her, the money would be his.
Makes sense. The thing is, that man has an alibi. The victim's estimated time of death is 10 at night. There's no mistake that Jaren was with the client at that time. It makes no sense to suspect Tetra, since she's our client. So we have to assume his alibi is airtight.
Right. I agree.
There was a time between 7 and 8 that he wasn't being inspected or kept track of. That was also the last time they saw their dad eating after dinner before 7 closed off. So it seems that he was able to do the job between 6 to 7, flooding the room within an hour and then continuing to drain it afterwards for the remainder of that time.
His alibi is perfect. Not only was he with Tetra at 10, but he was also with her for 2 hours before and after. So, as it stands, it's impossible for him to have killed the victim.
No, the alibi isn't a problem. It's possible if a certain trick was used.
A trick?
But I still lack hard evidence.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's worth rolling the dice here.
Oh, are you gonna bait the
Hey,
suspect into something?
you sure about this?
We'll make our move tonight. Let's go to the client.
I didn't even realize she had candy. They modeled the outside of the place too. That's nice.
Is it true that you know the truth behind this case?
That's right, miss. Allow me to
Let's hear the bluff.
The key detail for this case is the victim's cause of death.
See, this is one aspect of being a detective that I don't really have a knack for. This sort of bluffing and baiting.
Without a doubt, the victim died by drowning. But making it look like he drowned in the fish tank was camouflage. Why would such a thing even be needed? Because it secured the killer's alibi.
You said that the victim's time of death was around 10 p.m. In other words, the culprit secured their alibi at the same time as they murdered the victim. Is that really possible?
Through a certain trick, it was possible to drown the victim even if the culprit wasn't there.
Drown him without being there?
The trick the culprit used was...
Okay, so they weren't actually inside, but they did open the window from the outside so that they could hide the water evidence of the drowning. I don't know how he could drown inside though. It did not raise all the way upwards. Or rather, it didn't fill this entire room. I don't know how you managed to trap him inside this room too. Vent, the fish tank, the hose, the body. It was the hose, yeah. Flooded the room with those.
First, it involves this rubber hose.
That's Sugar's toy.
If you untie the knot, it returns to being a hose. This was what was first used in the crime.
How was it used? Don't tell me that's the murder weapon.
If you check the vent, you'll see the color of paint scraped on there matches the hose. It was likely passed through the vent.
What kind of hose is painted on the outside?
The hose in the vent? Why would anyone do that?
It's nothing special. The hose was simply used for its original purpose.
Its original purpose?
One end of the hose was placed on the edge of the rain gutter on the veranda side. Prior to this, the culprit adjusted the rain gutter so that the hose could be inserted into it.
Ah, yeah, that's
The
what I thought.
rainwater from the gutter passed through the hose.
We can clearly see that hole now.
Huh? What do you mean? Hilari, you think this place got flooded with rainwater?
See, that's my issue. Is there enough capacity for that?
The whole place.
It did, but my problem with that is, could it really fill this entire room?
In fact, drenched.
But that was because of the broken fish tanks, right?
Come on, no.
That's part of it. But the main reason was due to rainwater pouring into the enclosed room.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the point in flooding this room with rainwater?
To hide the
The
fact?
culprit's goal was to secure their own alibi at the estimated time of death. This trick was necessary for that.
So they could kill them without them being there? I didn't know how they can drown from that, though.
Can you explain from the beginning?
Unless the shocking actually did
Let's
happen.
go over what the culprit did on the day of the crime in order.
So he got shocked and then he just drowned.
First,
Because he was
the
unable to
culprit
move
mixed
from that
sleeping
position.
pills into the victim's dinner. While the victim was asleep, the culprit proceeded to prepare the trick.
Oh, is this how it happened? I missed that.
Sleeping pills in his food? That reminds me. My father did seem sleepy shortly after eating dinner.
After dinner, the victim likely went to his room to lay down. The culprit then sneaked into his room and carried him out while he was asleep.
Okay. That seems clear now.
That was how the victim was
But that's a
transported
huge
to
jump.
this-
That's not based on evidence, but that's based on a bluff and
At this point,
assumptions.
you're sure he was
Still,
alive?
it's worth investigating just from
course.
thinking of
If the
possibilities.
culprit murdered the victim earlier, then their alibi wouldn't have worked. The culprit had to murder him in such a way that would secure their alibi. The preparations were done in this room.
So that's how he was able to get them in this room and set all the
After
tape there.
bringing the victim here, the culprit used duct tape on the gap near the door to weather strip it.
Weather strip? What's that?
To make it watertight.
It prevents water from leaking outside.
What do you mean?
Let me explain.
See, that was the one thing I
After
couldn't
weather
figure out,
stripping the door,
the sleeping drugs,
the
but
culprit started
that was just due to my lack of
destroying fish
creativity, so
tanks.
I'm just presume that.
The culprit likely covered them with cloth to dampen the noise.
Covered the cloth?
Once he smashed all of them,
Hold on, give me a sec. Okay, so that's how we couldn't hear it.
he leaned the victim.
There's just
against
a
the
lack of my creativity for assuming different
fish.
ways
The
that can be done if
culprit
there's no
then moved to
explicit
the
evidence.
window on the veranda and weather stripped the outside of it.
There's no evidence for that on the window, though.
Finally, they took the hose connected to the rain gutter and passed it through the vent to the inside of the room.
Can you really
Operations in
build that
place,
room that
the
much
culprit left
in an
through
hour,
the
though?
veranda and returned to the mansion as if nothing had happened.
How does that complete everything?
Wait.
The victim was still alive at the time, right? When was he murdered?
If the timeline of 10 o'clock, that is fine. I guess 4 hours seems slightly more reasonable for this entire room to flood. Well, 4 hours. I guess 3 hours. From 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Actually, when was the body even discovered? Well, I guess he could have been flooded before it even reached the height of that point. But either way, taking 3 hours to kill someone through drowning in this way does seem slightly possible.
The victim naturally drowned after being left alone for several hours.
Huh? How's that?
The rainwater from the rubber hose flooded the room in a few hours.
Yeah, 1 hour is not enough, but a
The
few
room was
hours
turned
possibly.
into a fish tank, this time filled with rainwater. And that is how the victim drowned.
And the body was positioned there from the beginning.
The whole room was flooded?
That can't be.
The proof lies in the stained walls. The day of the murder, The room must have been filled to that line with rainwater.
Yeah, that dark stuff must be just the gunk on rainwater.
Killed the victim?
Correct. Only in this city could such an approach be possible.
I mean, I understand there's a lot of rain, but
The rain
my main
never stops
concern
in
was the
Hana.
hose's capacity.
This makes it easy to estimate the amount of rainfall to a certain degree. So it is not impossible to create this alibi trick with some calculation.
I suppose.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. Wouldn't it take at least half a day for the room to fill with enough rainwater to drown the victim?
I'm sure it would require more rainwater than usual to accomplish it.
That's what I was thinking. But if it was modified,
Which
it could have been
means you need to gather
sequestered.
all the rain falling around this giant mansion.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it was a mansion.
Gather all of it. How?
There could have also been some sort of
It
storage
would require
container, but
slight adjustments to the rain gutters. After that, the rainwater would flow to the veranda.
Adjustments to the rain gutters?
There would be plenty of water if all of the rain that
He's sensing
pours
the
on the
accusation.
mansion is rerouted to this room. That explains how the culprit secured their alibi while drowning the victim. In the morning, before the body was found, they removed the weather stripping and drained the water through the veranda. If you check the drain in the veranda, you should find dead tropical fish that were carried out with the rainwater.
Before the discovery, they removed the weather stripping and drained the water through the veranda. Okay. So, he must have exited and entered through the veranda then. And then locked it after. And exited through the main door. Maybe?
The culprit smashed the tanks beforehand to prevent rainwater from being stored inside. Well, that's how I would have done it. But maybe the culprit didn't realize that before they started draining the water. Seeing the fish tanks filled with rainwater, the culprit panicked and smashed all of the glass to hide the evidence. They must have carelessly broken the one fish tank the corpse was leaning on in the process. Isn't that how it went, Jaren? I'll be direct. You are the culprit.
Hold on. Is this some kind of joke? Why would I kill my father-in-law? That's stupid.
Motive's there.
But you were fixing the rain gutters a few days before the incident.
That's because you asked me to fix them. How does fixing some stuff pin me as the culprit? That's crazy talk.
So you intend on maintaining that you're not the culprit?
Of course!
Then we'll have to ask our little friend for the answer.
Ooh, is it time for the dog?
Sugar.
Ah, that's why it's raining cats and dog.
This is the rubber hose used for the trick. There are scrapes on its surface. That's the proof. I'm sure the culprit tried to dispose of it, tying it into a knot before throwing it away. But our friend here found it for us. Good girl, Sugar.
Nice timing, yeah.
Only the culprit has directly touched the rubber hose. I'm certain his scent is still on it. Tell us, Sugar, who do you smell on this?
There it is.
It is you.
This is complete nonsense. I won't accept it.
Time to get your ass whipped by Halora.
If I have to, I'll kill all of you.
There it is.
Hey, don't tell me that you're really...
I was so close to getting all that money.
Ooh.
Calm down! Hey! Why me?
I can kill the woman anytime. I'll start off with you. Damn you, detectives! This is your fault for sticking your nose into my life!
Can you handle this on your own, Chief?
I'm pretty bad at this sort of thing. Please help.
Please don't put a price on it.
I'll kill. Ow!
You saved me.
I never thought it would be like this. What am I supposed to do?
At least you have sugar.
You're not alone. That's what she's saying.
If you ever need help, come to us. The Nocturnal Detective Agency will always be at your service.
Thank you.
Aww.
As promised, you can keep that cat here.
I don't need your help. That's what the cat is saying.
Come on, this cat thinks it's some sort of hard-boiled detective? Well, I suppose I don't mind.
This city is a difficult place to live, even for the animals.
Right. I hope we can keep solving the mysteries here to make this city a better place. And make it a nicer place for them to live too.
I sincerely hope so.
You're so cold to humans, but you like animals.
Glad to see she's a dog person
See,
too.
there you go again, making that scary face. Seeing you play with the cat, you look kinda cute. It sure would be nice to see more of that smile around here. I hope you keep using your powers to change the city. I know you can do it. For their sake, too.
That depends on the payment.
Right.
Come on. Well, how's this? Consider it the reward for this case. And maybe you could ask for permission next time.
Thanks.
Aww. Oh, Connie Ward. Always so beautiful. God, I love the setting of this game. Raining cats and sugar. And it's nice that Yako is pretty much in all of these. Although it was a nice treat from the last episode that we got to see both Yasuhiko and Halara a bit. Okay, that was it for the DLC. I have to say, that was actually a pretty phenomenal case for something that only lasted for like an hour and a bit. Yeah, a lot more fleshed out as a proper detective case compared to the previous two. Yasuhiko's was kind of just you were taken for the ride and it solved the case for you. There was not really any investigation from what I can remember, besides just talking to the cat girl in the end. And there was Fubuki's thing, which was essentially you're just replaying the same scenario over and over again and letting things happen on their own. Not even any QTEs really. But in this one, it really did feel like we are getting back into a proper case again. And I love that. I hope Vivia's case for next month turns out the same way, or even better, honestly. What's it called? Yeah, it was well thought out. The post-cognition turned out to be fairly useful too, although honestly, there wasn't that much new evidence taken from the post-cognition. I don't really understand the whole point of the fishing equipment. That was just a complete red herring with the dust and all of that, so I focused on that for no reason. But yeah, you could pretty much... The only piece of evidence that was somewhat new in post-cognition that could have helped was the status of the locked door. But I think my misunderstanding of that situation was just the positioning of the drain itself, because it was a bit hard to see from the outside, so I thought it was on the inside or something, which, to be fair, is a bizarre assumption, but I don't know how the house works. Kudos more to the world building of, what's called... There's just huge disparities between rich and poor and everyone out to get each other. Very much feels like a Gotham-type city, but a lot more neon. And what else? I definitely felt like my gears were turning a lot more in this one, to piece things together, as is Halara tradition. Figuring out, for example, just like the main games of this case, or the main cases of this game, you're actually able to piece out how the case happened before the final confrontation happened. And I feel like I did pretty decent detective work for this one in terms of trying to figure it out before Halara did. But it also makes me more aware of what my weaknesses are when it comes to trying to figure out the truth of the situation. Usually I need things presented in front of me to piece things together, and that's exactly what happened. I was able to piece the flooding together, and I was able to piece the method of making it watertight, and I think I was able to piece the method of the water coming in through the outside through the hose as well, and the exit method as well eventually. But I think I just had a lacking of understanding, or rather a lacking of, I guess, facts about the world that I failed to understand or take into consideration. Like, obviously, like, if there's a culprit out there, they would use other things, even things, pieces of evidence we haven't have checked for yet. And I think that's where Halara shines best. It's not just the evidence in front of her, or them rather, but they are able to take things into account that don't necessarily have evidence, but seems to be a likely bet, such as the sleeping drugs, to actually have them drown, which would piece it together. I should have just started with, if it doesn't make sense, he's flooding there and he's gonna be drowned there, and there's no choking marks, and he must have just drowned there passively, and sleeping drugs makes no sense. And I failed to take into account how, I kind of had in the back of my mind Conai Ward was constantly flooding, but for example, I forgot that times the fact that was a mansion. And I guess my misunderstanding of the time frame made me really discount the possibility that the entire room could have been flooded in an hour, which it wasn't. It was flooded across 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, I think this case was really got my gears turning, and I hope I can figure out cases better. Halara's taught me well with her facts and logic, so hopefully in the future I can just figure out things of circumstantial evidence like that better in the future. That is, say, with Vivia's case, which should be coming out next month. And it was good character development for Halara themselves, with them actually finally being able to go ahead and take care of a cat. Although it was nice to see Yako too helping out with the investigation. He was kind of just in the background. We didn't really get any specific evidence from him in the end, but it was from his own deduction that he was able to piece together on his own terms that it was Jaren who was indeed the culprit too. So it was good feedback, spitballing between each other. So I think he really is the crux between all these detective investigations, between Dasuhiko's when he was helping out him as a partner in disguise, or when he was helping out with Fubuki's case by bringing all the other detectives together so that they could eventually concoct that plan to break in. So I'm excited to see Yako again in the next case. I will say it was a bit of a shame we didn't see the other detectives though, but I feel like the other detectives needed to show up for Fubuki's case just because it would seem unlikely that she'd be able to conduct an investigation on her given her unique kind of personality. Anyway, that's it for this stream. Thank you for joining me. The next forms of content coming up, not entirely sure right now. I might want to do a few more highlight videos before this Sunshine reprint ends, but we'll see. And of course, the next playthrough for and the final DLC will be for this will be next month, so that won't be a ways from now. Between you and me, I have an idea of what the next event in host mode is, so You can save your stones. I'll just say that much. Anyways, thank you for joining, everyone. That's it from me. And yeah, I'll see you whenever. Peace. Bye-bye.